Let me just say this. Just because God has blessed you financially doesn't mean He wants you to spend it on yourself. Think about that. Well, you know, I worked hard for it. Yeah, think how much more you could do with it for the cause of Christ than have your 14 cars and your 10,000 square foot home. Why can't you live a modest life here on earth and do great things for God with it? Do you think maybe God put you in a spot where no one else was in so that you could be able to do more for Him? But don't you worry, you'll give an account for that. My message is not to shame anyone in this room, because the message is to me. The message should be applied to you, not to the person sitting next to you, but to you. We are individually going to give an account. Now, each of us could do differently. Some of us have more health than others. Would you agree with that? Some of us can go out there and labor in the hot sun all day, not get that headache, not get faint, not fall over. We don't have diabetes. We don't have bad knees or bad backs. Hey, God says you're going to give an account for that youth that you have that other people don't have. Some of us have more means in the bank. Some of us don't. It doesn't matter what you have. You're going to give an account for what you have. You're going to give an account for what you did and what you could have done and what you should have done, and it's not going to be the same as anyone else. Preacher, that doesn't make me feel good. Well, hey, I'd rather you feel uncomfortable now than when you're standing before the judgment seat of Christ and God saying, hey, I gave you all that wealth, and what did you do with it? I don't care what kind of car you drove or how many you had. I don't care how big your house was. What could you have done for me with the talent I gave you? You are going to give an account with that. And you know what? I want to be guilty of just doing too much for God. Look, you know, you could have kept a little bit of it. That's all right. Serving God. I've had multiple times in my life that people tell me that I'm making bad financial decisions. That's okay. That is okay. Let me tell you something. People oftentimes will say, you know, well, you need to think about the future. I am. It's called the judgment seat of Christ. I'm thinking about that future, and I want to stand before God saying I did everything I can. I mean, how many times does a brother or sister have a need, and they come to you, and you say, well, I just don't have anything to help you with, and you got your IRA account filled, you got tens of thousands of dollars in savings, but I don't want to touch that. I mean, I got to think about my future. Your coffers are full, and you look at them and say, be warmed and filled. God will meet your need. And yet you got someone who's living paycheck to paycheck. They actually reach in, they help out that situation, and they're not going to be able to go out to eat this week. They're not going to be able to buy that coffee. They're going to have to whatever, you know, they may not even be able to eat that week. And God said, don't you worry that, well, why aren't they? You don't worry about that. You're going to stand before the Lord one day, and they're going to stand before the Lord one day. And there will be an account for the treasures that He gave you and what you did with them.